Big debate of the hour. We at NewsX have been talking at length about finding a solution to the toxic air in Delhi. The core problem is stubble burning during this time of the year. And we have come up with the Parali plan, which is a step-by-step plan to phase out stubble burning by farmers in the hopes that our lawmakers will pay heed to this, take swift action to put an end to this life-threatening problem that has engulfed the national capital. Here's the plan. Let's first understand why farmers burn Parali. In India, paddy is typically harvested in the month of October and wheat is usually sown in the same fields shortly after. This cropping pattern is common in states like Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. The short window of 10 to 15 days between the paddy harvest and wheat sowing is crucial for farmers to prepare the soil, sow wheat seeds and ensure timely crop establishment. An alternative that has been offered to this was biodecomposers, but since it takes 3 to 4 weeks to break down the leftover stubble, there is massive delay in sowing of the seeds. There was a second alternative that has been proposed, which is using machines like super seeders or straw balers. Now, these machines are expensive but at the same time effective, with prices ranging from 3 lakh rupees to 12 lakh rupees each. Additionally, the cost of operating these machines, including diesel, adds to the financial burden. To calculate the number of machines required, let's quickly consider the land area that is under paddy cultivation in Punjab. With 31.93 lakh hectares, that amounts to 78 lakh 74 lakh hectares of land, and assuming that each machine can cover up to 60 hectares per day, we would approximately be needing about 8.76 lakh machines. The cost of operating these 8.76 lakh machines would be estimated at 13,140 crores. And even with the economies of scale, the cost would still be around 9,860 crores. Adding the cost of diesel and other recurring expenses, the total cost would be around 9,938 crores. To put this cost into perspective, India's GDP is approximately 3,736.88 lakh crores. The cost of operating these 8.76 lakh machines would be around 0.0026% of the country's GDP. Using machines to manage stubble also leaves residual rice grains which can grow as weeds amongst the wheat crop. Additionally, there are other problems like pests, including bollworm and its larvae, that can cause significant damage to the wheat crop. These challenges highlight the complexity of addressing the stubble burning in Punjab and the need for a comprehensive solution that balances farmer livelihoods with environmental concerns. All right, let's open up this discussion now that we have gone through that plan again, how effective it can be, why are our lawmakers still at the peripheries when it comes to taking substantive action. I'm being joined by Shekhar Singh. He's an agri-policy expert. He's an analyst. Shekhar Singh, thank you very much for joining us once again. Unfortunately, this is the time when we hold these discussions year after year on NewsX. You are a regular guest. We have been discussing this, going back and forth on what could be the solutions. We don't want to focus on what are the politicians saying, what is the Supreme Court and what are the courts saying, why is there no alignment between the state and the central government. We do want to focus in this discussion about the possible solutions. There's one that I have just read out. I've done the math. I've given you the exact figures. What is it going to cost the exchequer, the central government and the state governments to allow for these machines to function? There are challenges therein as well. So what's the road ahead?
First of all, thank you for having me on your show. And I think definitely having a mechanical solution can be what is the immediate step that is required. And I would even say that if there is, you talked about the super seeders, one must know that they actually, what they do is, while they are cutting the paddy, they are also planting the seeds of the wheat at the same time. And then what the remaining parali that is cut acts as mulch for the next crop to grow. Okay, we have to get the science very, very correct, and then we can all come to the conclusion ourselves of what is good and what is not good. What we currently need is a new kind of harvesting system which makes it compulsory by law to have a straw baler at the back of it. Because what is happening is, even in other places of the country, the harvester is running through these paddy fields, and it's dumping the parali back onto the fields. Now in Punjab, because there is lack of dairy production, there is a lack of these varieties of paddy which can be eaten up by the cattle. The farmers have no use for the parali that's lying on their ground. Hence, they find it very easy to burn it. So once again, we have to ensure that baling of the paddy, having the straw bales, that becomes a necessity in Punjab. Because once the baling happens, then we move one step further in making this resource into an industrial raw material. All over the world, we have managed to do this. People follow the same procedure, and we should have a caveat that all of these new machines should have bale straws. Now, the second problem is, about the paddy itself. Why are we growing the paddy there? We have to have direct income support, provide farmers for ecological services during a direct bank transfer, and then have the court say that if you now, after being given all the support, now if you cross the line, now we will take strict action against you. We should also have a more cheaper policy, which is of ecological agriculture, which is of having organic agriculture and diverse farming back in Punjab. There is, if the farmers want money, most of Punjab does not eat rice. Anybody who's Punjabi, they exactly know how much rice they eat in their homes. It's very little if you live in Punjab. Only for kheer or some of these other things. Mostly the food is wheat, makki ki roti, gehu ki roti. So why don't we link the farms of Punjab to the diet of Punjab? We are not in the 60s anymore. We are not in the 70s anymore. India is not it doesn't have a lack of cereals. And many other states like Uttar Pradesh, like Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, all these other places, even in the south of the country, Telangana, Maharashtra, we have ample rice production. And plus, we don't have the ecological damages that we suffer when we plant paddy in Punjab. So how about we change this around, have a sound policy? There will always be corruption in all policies, and we have to factor in corruption also as an administrative issue. So if you have ecological farming and you grow for organic farming, naturally the corruption is cut out, because you're empowering the farmer to be the master or the controller of their own farms. And that way, we are saving the exchequer's money. We are saving the fertilizer and subsidy bill. We are not putting in money in the pockets of automobile and tractor manufacturers. So these are just the three first comments that I would like to make. That if we are having super seeders, we must have a baling straw attachment to it. Second, we have to diversify. We have through providing income support to farmer. And third, we have to go for organic farming. We have to go for ecological farming. That's the need of Punjab. Today in Punjab, people living in Punjab, they have pesticides running in their blood. There were blood tests conducted, and they found that these agricultural chemicals are found in the blood of all the people there. So it's a one solution that can actually...
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Fair enough. You've made your point. I'm going to quickly get in Dr. Sharat Kohli as well. Dr. Sharat Kohli, the solutions that Indrashekhar has pointed out, how feasible are they? Talking about ecological and sustainable farming, the idea of growing crops, going cash crops like paddy, was the genesis of how profitable this entire proposition is, and therefore the complete change in cycle by way of the rabi crops and the other crops that are grown in the cycle. So and again, talking about on the one hand having machines, talking about these super seeders and these bale machines. They are expensive, a proposition, but can the governments push forth this entire plan, fund these machines? It is going to be an extraordinary amount, some about 10,000 crore rupees that will have to be spent. Again, at the same time, are these all feasible options?
Good evening, Megha, to you, my fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. I think 10,000 crores as compared to our lives. I was doing a debate on one of the media platforms today. And 7 to 10 years, mind you, is the loss of life expectancy in Delhi NCR, just Delhi NCR, that me and you, I think most of the panelists sitting here are in Delhi NCR, unless Mitali is traveling again. Joyita, I know, is here. So is Indra, and so are you. We are all losing 7 to 10 years of our life So if I was to live for 70 years, I'll probably live for 60 years, Megha, for that matter. That is what we are losing. Is 10,000 crores bigger than that? That's my first point. Definitely not. This country spends so much. I have the whole country's balance sheet in front of me. I have every single sector to which funds are being allocated in the budget. I think 10,000 crore vis-a-vis the cost benefit analysis is peanuts. That's my first point. My second point, what Indra said about compensating the farmers, there is a Kisan Samman Nidhi going on where 2,000 rupees, but that's universal. That's going to all small farmers. What he's recommending is targeted funding, targeted financial support to make sure that these farmers do not get into that activity of paddy farming, and hence there'll be no Parali for that matter. The bigger problem here, the larger picture, which Indra will have to agree with me or does not agree, is that the farmers in Punjab and Haryana, I don't mean to demean anybody, they are andatas. I have highest respect for them. But there were efforts made to try and educate them in multiple ways. There were teams sent from Ministry of Agriculture in these states and from the center, not once, but many times over the last few years. But you'll be surprised to know that most of them, they were unwilling to give up their habits. They were just used to doing what they were doing for generations together, that they never wanted to change. So I think the level of agricultural literacy, the level of training required for changing, for upgrading to technology, the straw machine which he was talking about, and there are other methods also being proposed.
Yeah.
But the resistance to change is such humongous that it is difficult. They will say, okay, fine. I remember one of the guys going to, "Asi karange ji, agle saal to karange." That was the response given. But then when it came down to the harvesting season, they were back to square one.
Yeah.
The smoke was all out again. What I forget to understand, Megha, here is, why can't, at the cost of the lives of people, why can't there be an agriculture policing? There should be police on the ground before harvesting season, and they should literally go and hold their hands that, for God's sake, do not pick up this matchbox or a lighter for lighting up this Parali. I fail to understand why this is not being done for all these years. I'm not being political. I don't want to point out to central or state government. I don't want to sound anything which is critical to the game of politics. But then it is cost of people's lives. It is me and you losing years of precious life. I have the whole economic analysis, Megha, with me. Next time when you come to me, I'll tell you what is the economic cost of this Parali burning. And by the way, Parali is not the only reason why me and you are losing years out of our lives. There are so many. There is construction. There is vehicles. There is dust flying around. There are so many things which are happening. But yes, since we are talking on Parali, I would like to stick to that, Megha.
Okay, all right. Quickly coming to you, Joyita, and absolutely, precious years of our lives just being wasted away. I myself have been coughing for the last 6 days. I've gone to the doctors. The only advice he has for me is to stay indoors as much as possible. That's clearly not possible in the line of work. I'm a working professional. So these are problems. These are inevitable things. Solutions are in front of us. Some of them long term, others can be implemented immediately in the short term and medium term. Why do you think our leaders are still hesitant to take action?
Well, Megha, I would not make such a blanket statement like that, because if you go it, whether we like it or not, we will ultimately have to come down to governance. And when you look at the two states in particular, which are the main culprits of Parali burning, stubble burning, Haryana and Punjab, Haryana has been able to clean up its record in a big way. When it comes to stubble burning, Haryana, total 2025, in the last few, in this period, I think they have got a very few stubble burning cases. Compared to that, Punjab is totally uncontrolled and it's absolute mess. So if we are going to, so that is the reason why there is no blanket uh, condemnation. It does not work like that. And if you are looking at Haryana in particular, the machines, the Parali, those machines, the super seeder and all, they have instituted a system of hiring the machines. I think the state government has been able to place something around 80,000 machines all over the state. Now these machines can be hired, and you see, there has to be intervention from the government to make it, okay, quote unquote, lucrative for the farmer to not indulge in parali burning. So you see, I'm not here to say what all Haryana has done, but the fact of the matter is that there has to be government intervention at the on the ground level. And there's a reason why, Megha, you are talking about Punjab today and not about Haryana, because Haryana has been largely successful. So, when you're talking about, of course, crop changing pattern, they have to they have to come out of that rice obsession with that rice, because it's easier money that way. Okay, so they will have to come out. But the fact of the matter is that when one state can do it, why cannot the other one?
Okay,
all right. So there's a lesson there, right there, happening.
Okay, Mitali, quickly coming to you. So is there lack of political will? Is there politicization? Is touching the farmer issue a very sensitive subject? That's why politicians would want to stay away from it. And as Joyita said, do you think can you make a comparison that while Haryana and Uttar Pradesh have taking affirmative actions, there seems to be lack of them in Punjab?
So thanks a lot for bringing me into the debate, and I completely agree with most of my previous panelists. Especially, I think the point which Indra made about diversity in farming, and this is exactly linked with the economics of investing continuously year on year in producing rice as opposed to other crops. We have seen many times that the central government has set up commission after commission, state governments have set up commissions to relook at the entire system of minimum support prices. I think this is a debate which is completely linked to the MSP. Because if you continue to offer MSP only on rice and wheat or only on selected commodities, then you are automatically disincentivizing farmers from growing other crops. So it's very simple, in this sense, from a policy standpoint. But what makes it complicated to implement is, of course, the entire politics around the farm laws, the entire debate that we saw for almost 2 years when there were protests going on around the farm laws, which linked MSP with the farm laws. And now it's become so difficult to talk about the fact that MSP needs to be introduced as a floor price for other commodities, and those other commodities are lists that state governments, and in fact even more than state governments, local panchayats should be recommending that in our area we can grow this crop, the soil is suitable, the climate is suitable, and therefore we need a MSP for this particular commodity.
Okay.
The second aspect is with respect to food processing. At the end of the day, the farmers in Punjab for the last 30 to 40 years are growing rice and wheat, which are first level agricultural commodities. Why are we not coming out with high end processed foods which can bring them more and more value from the agricultural production which they are doing?
Okay.
That's because of the lack of upskilling. So if we combine these two policies along with setting up markets for the super seeders, markets for incentivizing farmers to stop burning parali, and also instituting community champions who will go into the communities and say, don't do this. It's about bringing everyone together, but also having the markets work for this.
Okay, all right. So Indrashekar, how do we bring everybody together, bring onto the table? And at this point of time, as we saw a few years ago, the hijackings, the national capitals was, it was sieged. You had farmers who were on the peripheries. In fact, they entered. There were hundreds and thousands of them that had protested. Brought Delhi to a siege. Those were difficult times, and the farm laws had to be revoked. in spite of the fact that they made a lot of sense in bringing about transformational change in the lives of the farmers who are poor. They require those reforms, that require that impetus that the government has been, government after government have been trying to do this, have been unsuccessful in doing this. Are our lives going to be held hostage on the whims and fancies of the farmers, or this farmer nexus that we speak about?
I hope so not. Okay, and to give a direct answer in less words, I think the first step, picking up from my earlier panelist, it's important that we start to disinvest in MSP production and MSP procurement from Punjab of paddy and of wheat. It's high time that I'm saying we don't need 10,000 crores. Give 5,000 crores and put it in public backed procurement by the government of organic produce from Punjab. Punjab will change in 2 seasons. It's a guarantee.
Exactly.
There will be no Parali problem. There will be no problem at all. And we can fix the problem not in a 10,000 crores, but maybe 5 or 3,000 crores. Because organic produce is exported all over the world, from Germany to America and everywhere else. Why can't we make the second green revolution with public procurement, which is backed by an MSP-like system? That's the only way out of it. We have to let the market, and I agree with Dr. Kohli in many senses, that it has to be also a market-based approach. You know, other things have failed to work in Punjab. So now why to just give them the money that they need? Everyone's farming for money anyways. So let the money go to deliver a good, toxic-free, poison-free product, which has high value all over the world, and it's even good for our people. I think just with this one very step, Punjab can change, Haryana can change, and wherever the Parali burning is happening, that can change. Second is we need to have a stronger dairy sector in Haryana, in Punjab, and in Uttar Pradesh, in Western Uttar Pradesh, so that the Parali can be absorbed immediately by the dairy as fodder. Now, the third thing is Punjab government and the government of India and the people of India have failed to have an allied industrial sector in Punjab that is using Parali as a profitable raw material input. Like, you know, that's the problem. We've been talking about this policy for a really long time, but none of the bio pelleting or like the gasification or the other industries have worked. So why is it not worked? Do we not need to don't we deserve a white paper on this just as citizens, and not blaming any political party? I think we should really focus on that. If we just follow these 3 things, first starting with the MSP for agroecology and for organic produce only, which is much higher than what is given to the chemical farmers, that being the number 1 key step.
Okay.
Second, yeah.
Okay, all
Please.
right, absolutely. Indu Shekhar, thank you very much. I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. We'll keep this conversation going. It's an important discussion to be had. Solutions need to be found. Else, we are going to continue living in this gas chamber. It is not just detrimental to the lives of people living in the national capital. Just imagine how people living in Punjab, in Haryana, in Uttar Pradesh and other northern parts of the country must be living in this gas chamber, substantially reducing your life cycle. That's unfortunate. On that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks so much.